For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Hawaii officials are asking the public to provide DNA samples to help them identify the remains of the missing after the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. Officials said the low number provided so far threatens to hinder efforts to identify remains discovered in the ashes. More than 1,000 names remain on a tentative, unconfirmed list of people unaccounted for. Authorities say DNA samples have been collected from just 104 families. It's lower than what's been seen in other disasters. Authorities have said there are 115 confirmed deaths from the fire. In the U.S. mainland, a sweltering heat wave is impacting some 100 million people from the Great Lakes south to Missouri and Florida. A 1-year-old child has died after being left in a hot van at a daycare in Nebraska. In Kansas City, more than 100 residents of a nursing home were evacuated after air conditioning failed. The National Weather Service has issued heat alerts for parts of 22 states. A new report finds climate change has made wildfires in Canada worse. The nation there is seeing record wildfires, nearly 400 across the country. Ira Spitzer reports.
Scientists with the group World Weather Attribution concluded that the hot, windy, and dry conditions in northern Quebec this year were twice as likely to occur because of climate change. The record wildfire season has already forced tens of thousands of Canadians to flee their homes and created poor air quality as far south as Atlanta. The report, which hasn't yet been peer-reviewed, uses computer models to compare the real world with a hypothetical one that hasn't yet been transformed by decades of greenhouse gas emissions caused by burning fossil fuels. Ira Spitzer.
In Greece, firefighters have found the bodies of 18 people thought to have been migrants entering the country from Turkey. The discovery comes as hundreds of firefighters battle dozens of wildfires across Greece, fanned by gale force winds. This week, 2 people have died. Another major blaze has been burning across Spain's Canary Islands for a week. It comes as Europe is in a heat wave forecast to reach triple digits. Protests in Pacific Asian nations against Japan's decision to dump more than 1 million tons of treated radioactive wastewater from its failed Fukushima nuclear power plant. Protests were held in Hong Kong, Philippines, Japan, and South Korea. China has summoned Japan's ambassador to protest the release set for tomorrow, Thursday. Wang Wenbin is a spokesman for China's foreign ministry. His comments translated by Al Jazeera.
China urges Japan to heed legitimate concerns of international community and its own citizens, and to halt its plan for discharging the nuclear contaminated water into sea.
South Korea has banned Japanese seafood in response. The International Atomic Energy Agency, in a report in July, concluded the release, if conducted as designed, would cause negligible impact on the environment and human health. The treated wastewater still contains tritium. Physicians for Social Responsibility has warned tritium is carcinogenic. FSN's Chris Gilbert reports.
Everything is now in place. Wastewater, which has been stripped of radionuclides in a treatment facility and stored in enormous tanks for years, is now on the move. The first volumes have been released into a controlled pit to be tested for remaining isotopes such as tritium, which cannot be filtered out. TIPCO is now diluting the waste with 100 times as much seawater, reducing tritium levels to a 40th of the maximum concentration allowed by the government. From Thursday, TIPCO will begin the water's release into the ocean. Chris Gilbert in Tokyo.
Rudy Giuliani, one of Donald Trump's lawyers, is expected to turn himself in at a jail in Atlanta on charges related to efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. The former New York mayor was indicted last week with former President Donald Trump and 17 others. He's left New York to head to the state. He'll join John Eastman, a conservative attorney who pushed a plan to keep Trump in power. He's turned himself into authorities on charges in the Georgia case, alleging an illegal plot to overturn Donald Trump's 2020 election loss. Eastman was booked Tuesday. He said the indictment should have never been brought. Giuliani today said he's fighting for justice. Donald Trump says he plans to turn himself in on Thursday. Meanwhile, the first Republican presidential primary debate takes place tonight in the swing state of Wisconsin. The front runner and ex-president Donald Trump will loom large but not be in attendance. He'll be doing an interview with conservative Tucker Carlson. At the Republican primary, 8 contenders contenders will spar in a debate hosted by Fox News. They are Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, former South Carolina governor, business entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, former New Jersey governor, North Dakota's Governor Doug Burgum, former Vice President Mike Pence, and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.